Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be breaking down volume 4 of the Conan Dark Horse run. This volume is called The Hall of the Dead and Other Stories. So this is going to be the end of my Conan coverage for now. I wanted to end here because this is the end of Kurt Busiek's writing on Conan, so I felt it was a good end point. This is my 5th Conan the Barbarian video, and I want to move on to some other stuff. And this Dark Horse Conan the Barbarian run is super long. So there's a volume 0, then there's 22 volumes, and then there are about 10 or so miniseries, and then there's 5 volumes of King Conan. So there is so much out there, and I can't cover Conan forever. Yeah, check out some of that other stuff. It's all pretty good. A little uneven sometimes. Some volumes aren't as good as other ones, but they're all kind of okay. And some are pretty good. So yeah, check those out. But I'm going to be moving on to other stuff. Next week, I'm going to cover a book called Avengers Twilight, which is some good old-fashioned superhero fun. It's a book that was coming out this year, just ended, and I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of like Dark Knight Returns, except instead of Batman, it's in the Marvel Universe, and it's about the Avengers. So it's set in the future of the Marvel Universe, and the Avengers are all old as shit, and there's a villain out there causing some issues, and yeah, it's a good time. So a little bit of a Dark Knight Returns, Kingdom Come, except in the Marvel Universe. So that's going to be a good one. Tune in for that. But yeah, let's dive into Conan Volume 4. See Conan's continuing adventures. He's still in Zamora, in the City of Thieves. He's still going to be doing some thieving. There's some funny moments in here between him and Giara. We're going to meet Conan's new enemy/ally, Nestor the Gunderman. They have some good moments too. So let's dive into it. Conan, Volume 4, The Hall of the Dead and Other Stories. This volume was written by Kurt Busiek, who did issues 24-25, Mike Mignola, who did 29 through 31, and Timothy Truman, who wrote issue 33 and 34. And the artist was Cary Nord throughout. Conan, issue 24, The Magistrate's Wife. Conan is still within the kingdom of Zamora, and he is still in the City of Thieves. His reputation has grown, though, as some are aware of his adventure into the Tower of the White Elephant, which happened last volume. When this volume picks up, we see Conan, he's in a bar. He has Giara on his lap. Giara is a woman that connected with Conan last volume. Her and Conan have been hooking up for a while now. Giara initially did steal from Conan, although she blamed others, and Conan, he sort of gave her the benefit of the doubt. Giara has now sort of allied herself with Conan. Rather than attempt to steal from him, it is more advantageous to her to play up to her strengths and be some arm candy for Conan, so Conan will give her coin and some of the jewels that he is stealing a lot now. So Conan, he's in this bar, he has Giara on his lap, and he is telling all the other thieves in the bar of his recent adventure. He says, "Ho, innkeeper, more ale for my friends and me here. Crom's teeth, make it more ale for all in this hovel you call a tavern. I'm dripping with gold tonight and in a generous mood." Conan then explains to those in the bar that he was trying to steal something from Magistrate Cerna's dwelling. He silently slipped past all of Cerna's guards in the courtyard, and he climbed his way up to the highest tower on Cerna's compound. And in that high tower there was coin, jewels, golden cups, and more. But beyond all of these treasures was also the magistrate's wife, topless, lying in a bed, very young and beautiful. Conan, he wondered, did the old goat visit the tower for lovemaking, or merely store her there like a ceremonial urn when not needed? Conan did not know for sure. Also within that tower by the magistrate's wife was a black panther, although the panther seemed very calm and domesticated. Conan, he tried not to wake the wife. He tried to steal just what he could to not make it obvious so that he could come back another day and steal some more. But, alas, Conan was a little drunk and he made a little bit of noise, and the young wife woke up. When she arose, she saw Conan and asked what he was doing here. Conan, he did bring his knife with him, so he could have just cut his way out of this situation, but he decided to take another tact. He replied to the young woman, "It is true then, as lovely as you are in sleep, you are far more so awake." The young wife replied, "What?" Conan continued, "I'd heard tales that the most beautiful woman in Zamora was confined to this tower, and I see those accounts did you scant justice. Call the guard now, or set your beast on me. These trinkets were mere souvenirs. A pale excuse for my true purpose. I can die happy now that I have seen such a rare flower." The young wife, she was charmed by Conan's words. The wife, she then responded, "And if you would cast away your life for a mere glimpse, my brawny suitor, then what might say you to a touch?" So Conan, he bedded the young wife, and Conan, now telling the stories to the other in the bar, described the story as such. He said, "A spirited young woman, neglected and locked away by her husband, and an elderly, fat, bald, wheezing husband at that. Is it any wonder a young and vigorous visitor might be welcome? When the girl and the cat slumbered once more, I slipped away, taking my sack of booty with me, and here I am to tell of it." Conan and the other men in the bar all begin laughing at Conan's tale. Everyone's dying of laughter, except for Giara. Giara is jealous, as she's Conan's girl right now. Giara asks, "You bedded her? You sit here with me on your knee and you announce to all and sundry that you bedded another?" Conan then says to Giara, "Oh, don't be a broody hen, Giara. I'm not your first conquest any more than you're mine. And I recall a time you didn't mind sharing me with another, even when you were in the same bed, Giara, angry, answers, "If that's how you feel about it, you can just see what it's like to sleep in an empty bed for a night or two." Giara then storms off, and as she leaves, one of the other patrons in the bar tells Conan, "Ah, Conan, it's not wise to throw away a pretty woman like that. Someday they may be scarce, huh?" Conan, holding a jewel that he stole, replies, "Oh, she'll be back. I have coin to buy wine for her after all, and for pretty clothes, and I have this, liberated from the Magistrate's hoard, just for her." The patron responds to Conan, "Ha! You're wise beyond your years, Outlander." The laughter then breaks out once again. On another side of the bar is a man named Nestor, the Gunderman. Nestor is called the Gunderman because he comes from a place called Gunderland. Gunderland is a province of Aquilonia on the north, and it borders Samaria. So Nestor is talking to some of his friends in the bar. They're all thieves, and they are complaining that Conan is so full of himself, and he's always boasting. He's boasting too much, to the point that he is making life difficult for all the other thieves in the city, as it is now harder to thieve, as security measures have been upped. Nestor says to his friends, he's like a bull in a crockery, making Azura's own noise while he has his fun, and stirring up the city guard. He's eluded them, for now, but that only makes them angrier, causing trouble for all of us. He needs to learn. Quieter is better. More profit, less fuss. Nestor's friend replies, "Somebody ought to tell him then. I got stopped by a guardsman twice today. I had to lose a fine bracelet I lifted rather than let him find it on me." Nestor thinks his friend is right. He is going to have a friendly chat with Conan. Nestor, he stands up and he starts walking over to Conan. Before he can say anything though, something else is happening in the bar. A woman named Iniri of Koresh is using some magic that makes her almost invisible. She is moving throughout the bar, stealing food from various patrons. Eventually though, she got spotted. She caused some shadows to appear where none belonged, and the smoke in the bar was forming a weird shape in the air. So eventually this Iniri got grabbed. A patron in the bar she was trying to steal from, holding her wrist now, asked, "What sorcery is this?" Iniri mutters, "The cursed spell didn't last, or that copper bit I used in the incantation wasn't pure enough." Iniri, she was just trying to steal food from people. She says she was hungry. The man she was trying to steal from does not care. He says, "Well, my ragged sorceress, what have you to say for yourself, and why you're holding my dinner. And Neri answers, I'm sorry, I'll give it back. It's just, I was hungry. The men in the bar ask, give it all back? You think that's good enough? We don't get stolen from, not us, not here. Conan, he actually steps in. He tells the two men that are really angry, hey now, the girl is a starveling, it's just a bit of food. Don't make such a big deal of it. The two men that were really angry tell Conan, just food? It was ours, is what it was. I'm gonna gut this little girl. Conan, he decides to take these two men and smash their heads together. He comments, ugh, and this is how city men deal with their children, Give me uncivilized hill tribes any day. Conan, he then flips 2 coins over to the girl, Neri, and he tells her, here girl, get yourself some food and a good night's sleep. And a word of advice. I don't know where you learned magic tricks, but don't hang around taverns till you got a bit of shape. Easier to get fed then, too. Conan, he then goes to turn in for the night. He tells his friends in the bar he was talking to, well, that's as much entertainment as I can bear. Fare thee well, men and women. And, if Giara returns, she can find me in my room. So Conan, he headed off to bed. Giara did not end up joining him that night, though. Giara found another man who happened to be a city guard. She betted him, and then she wanted to get some revenge on Conan. She knows that Conan is wanted by the city guard for all the thieving he's been doing, so she asks the city guardsman, what would it do for your fortunes if you were to catch him in the midst of his thieving and you brought him in? For I know where he will strike tonight, or you could surround him. Giara did not actually think that the city guardsman would actually capture Conan, even if he brought a full squad with him, but it would serve Conan right and bloody his nose for treating her like a convenient bit of baggage. So Giara informed the city guardsman where Conan was going to be thieving soon, at a place called the Counting House of Silas. Meanwhile, in the bar, Nestor the Gunderman is talking to some friends of his, and they are planning a little heist of their own. And they too are also planning to steal from this Counting House of Silas. Nestor says the doors and windows may be better locked and patrolled thanks to Conan, but if Conan can get in through these places through the rooftops, well, so can we. Nestor and his thieving gang are not used to climbing up on roofs, but they'll try it. So later on, when Conan was finally out to steal from this Counting House of Silas, he showed up and Nestor the Gunderman happened to be there, already in the middle of thieving it. Conan, seeing Nestor, says, I should have thought to meet someone inside when I encountered those 2 fools above. Were they yours? I left them slumbering on the roof tiles. And a good thing, too. A few minutes more and they'd have fallen to their deaths out of sheer fright. They are not made to be climbers. Nestor, angry with Conan, says, you're the fool. A heavily guarded place like this, all the more so because of the trouble and unrest you've caused. And you rendered the only lookouts unconscious on the roof? Conan, he answers, what of it? No one saw me arrive at least, and in a place so packed with wealth as this, a stealthy thief can be in and out in a mere moment. As Conan and Nestor argue some more, eventually there is a pounding at the door. Thanks to Giara tipping off the city watch, they have arrived. The guardsmen yell out through the door, open up in there in the name of the guard. We know you're in there, Cimmerian. We have your compatriots. You face Lord Cerna's justice tonight. Nestor tells Conan, Lord Cerna, the magistrate with the new young wife. You see, Cimmerian? You make enemies. You boast of your exploits and you leave a trail. And now neither of us will profit by this night's work. Conan, he answers, you may be right, Gunderman. You've certainly given me much to think on. And yes, neither of us will profit tonight, but escape? One of us might manage that. Conan, he then yanks on the carpet they were standing on, and Nestor trips and falls and bonks his head and passes out. Conan, he managed to slip away, and the city guardsmen came in and they arrested Nestor, who was there by himself, alone. Nestor, he was then brought to Magistrate Cerna for punishment. This is the man with the young wife that Conan bedded recently. Serna has been told that Nestor is the Cimmerian that got with his young wife. He addresses Nestor saying, "You then, are he who dares defile my wife with your greasy, filthy touch?" Nestor, a little confused, says, I am no Cimmerian, Lord Magistrate. You need only ask about in the marketplace, and you will be told that the man who brags of bedding your wife is a dark-haired, bronzed giant. I am not he." The magistrate replies, "All right, but you are a thief, caught red-handed in the counting house." Nestor to this answers, "Aye, that I am a thief. I'm also, though, a tracker and a soldier, when there was need of it, and rich men to pay for my services. You have a reason to hate this man, Conan, my lord, Serna. I now have a score to settle with him as well. You want him chained and in your court? Then free my hands, lord, free my hands, and I will deliver him to you." Conan, issue 25, The Hand of the Mighty. Conan is back in his inn room with Giara in his bed. It is now the morning and they are waking up. Conan told her of the night's events. Giara asked, "And were you scared?" Conan replied, "Scared? Why would I be scared, girl?" Giara questioned, "Well, all those guards bursting in while you were in the counting house, I'd have been terrified." Conan to this said, "They were only men. I've fought armed men before. I'll fight them again. And I got away clean, didn't I?" As they prepare to depart for the day, Giara asks, "So, can we do some shopping this morning? There's some silken pieces I've seen in the Street of Weavers. I'd bet you'd like taking them off of me." Conan to this says, "Maybe later. I've got business with Osher. My fence. A few silver plates of the magistrate's still to turn into coin. I've found if I bring him too much at once, he expects to get a bargain price for the lot. So I dole it out slowly over time. But let's meet for lunch at the Swan and Turret." Conan, he then starts laughing and he says, "Ugh, I was just thinking about that Gunderman's face again. Gaping like a fish he was. I wonder what he saw when he woke up and where he might be now." We see where that Gunderman Nestor is now. He is in front of the magistrate. The magistrate asks Nestor, "You would betray your fellow thief so easily? Do you have no loyalty?" Nestor answered, "He is no fellow of mine, Lord Magistrate. We have not fought side by side, nor have we gone a-thieving together. We only met by chance last night in the counting house, and it was he who left me dazed and helpless for your guards to capture. I am a mercenary. I sell my sword when I can and take what I need to survive between wars. It is he you want, not I, and I know his habits, his lairs. I'll buy my freedom with his head, and gladly." The magistrate contemplates it, and then says, "Very well. Bring me his head, and you shall go free, and well paid to boot. But I warn you, if you should think to betray me..." Nestor says he won't, he'll be loyal. Nestor is then taken out of his chains and sent on his way. Once Nestor is gone, the magistrate calls in a man named Tzillis. Tzillis is the magistrate's personal sorcerer. The magistrate asks, "Did you cast your spells on him as commanded? Did all go as it should?" Tzillis replies, "Yes, my lord magistrate. One way or the other, he will carry out the task he agreed to perform. If he returns with that thief's head, my spell will not affect him. If he should break his word, however, or betray you in any way, he will still carry out the task, though by means more terrible for both him and the Cimmerian." So it seems like this Tzillis guy has placed some sort of spell on Nestor that will compel him to fulfill his side of the bargain or face some sort of terrible consequences. We see Conan elsewhere in the city is continuing his thieving ways. Him and his colleagues are attempting to break into somewhere, when all of a sudden Nestor and a whole bunch of men, now under his command, are there to try to thwart and capture Conan. Somebody must have tipped Nestor off on where Conan was planning to steal this night, as Nestor was there waiting for Conan. Conan, seeing he has walked into some sort of trap, exclaims, "Crom!" Nestor, he orders his men, "At the men, 10 in gold for each man ye down and 50 for the leader, but I'll claim that myself." Conan, he fought some of Nestor's men off, and as Nestor started moving in, Conan, he just climbed his way out of there. Conan, before he departed, he looked back and saw Nestor, and he replied, "Oh, it's you, Gunderman. You fared well then after our sudden parting last night." Nestor, he smiles back at Conan and says, "I should thank you, Conan. Due to you, I have a job. I command soldiers again, and I may be paid very well indeed. And all I have to do is kill you, and lay your severed head in Magistrate Cerna's richly clad lap. You really should have left his wife alone." Conan, to this he says, "Had I known she'd been this much trouble, man, I'd take your advice, although it's a little late now. Well, Gunderman, you're being paid well to catch me, you say, and all I can say is, you'll have to do better than this." Conan, he then departs and flees. Conan, he returns to his inn room where Giara is waiting. Conan tells her the two of them must depart. Turns out he's annoyed the wrong people, it seems. Conan tells her that they should split up, they'll both be safer alone for now. He'll draw them out, see how bad it is, lead them on a merry chase to hell and back if need be. He tells her to find a bed in the seamstress's quarter, and if he's not back for her in 4 days, meet him in Ophir at the inn on the Dannymalt River. Conan, he then leaves Giara, and he goes to meet his fence, Osher. Conan is angry at Osher because Osher was the one that tipped off Nestor where he was trying to steal from. Osher, when he sees Conan, seems surprised. He asks, "Why, Conan, what brings you here?" Conan tells Osher, "Only one man knew I was planning to strike at that caravanserai, Osher. I didn't even tell the bravos I took with me. I didn't even tell Giara." Osher, he attempts to lie, saying that he did not spill Conan's secrets. He does reveal that Nestor came around with a brace of the magistrate's soldiers sniffing around, but Osher claims he said nothing. Conan, after hearing Nestor's explanation, replies, "That's a pretty story, Osher, but there's one thing wrong with it. If you told him nothing and thought I was off to rob the caravan without a squad of armed men waiting for me, you wouldn't be surprised to see me. You'd be expecting me to show up with these hands full of loot." Conan, not willing to let Osher's betrayal go by, strangles him to death. Later on, in the market square, we see this Iniri woman of Koresh, the poor younger beggar woman that was attempting to steal food in the tavern earlier that Conan helped her escape with her life from. As she is begging in the street there, all of a sudden she sees Conan on horseback, riding away very fiercely with a whole bunch of the city guardsmen chasing behind him. Iniri almost got trampled by the horses as they went by her. Iniri, she remembered Conan from the tavern, and as she saw him flee, she noticed that he was laughing. There was no fear in him. Iniri then remembered that this morning she was casting some sort of rune spell, as she often did, every morning. They would alert her to danger, to recapture, and Conan, for some reason, kept appearing in her visions as prey of a great and hungry darkness. She did not know what force it was, just that it was eldritch, deadly, and she felt like she should warn Conan. He had saved her after all, but even if she wanted to warn Conan, how could she find him? So we see Conan on horseback is riding fiercely. A whole bunch of the city guardsmen are chasing after him. Conan, he ends up riding past the south gate, out of the city. And once he is out in the wilderness there, he notices Nestor waiting for him with a whole squad of soldiers. Conan is really surrounded now. Conan on his horse is wondering what he should do. He decides to just ride his horse right through Nestor and his men. He charges as fast as he can. Nestor momentarily falls back. He orders his men after him. Conan, he's riding his horse. He's pushing the horse as hard as he can. Conan on his horse, though, is riding straight toward a chasm. It's a dead end, but Conan, He thinks maybe he can jump it. So he pushes his horse even harder, and the horse ends up jumping off the cliff. The horse sadly falls to its death, but the horse managed to jump part of the way, and then Conan managed to leap off of the horse and grab the other side of the cliff and pull himself up. Nestor and his men were shooting arrows at Conan through all of this. Conan, he did get a few arrows in him, but he managed to safely make it to the other side. Nestor and his men are not going to make the jump, so Nestor orders his men to go around. It will take a while, but they'll get there eventually. Conan, as he lied safely on the other side, he thought to himself, all of his gold had been on that horse. They'd robbed him at a single stroke of all that he'd had. They'd pay for that. Conan issue 29, The Toad. Nestor and his men had took the long way around to attempt to try and rejoin Conan on the other side of the chasm to apprehend him. As they are marching, some of the men are a little uneasy. They do not like the place they are in. It has a bad reputation. Word is, this area is haunted and there are ghosts. As they all continue talking and marching, they eventually meet up with Conan. Conan goads them to charge at him, and Nestor eventually does, and he trips a trap that Conan set that causes an avalanche of some rocks. Conan, he assumes he took care of all of his pursuers and he walks on. Although, eventually, Nestor manages to escape the rubble alone, and he is determined to continue going after Conan. As Nestor continues pursuing Conan, he sees a strange man out there in the wilderness. The strange man gives an ominous warning saying, "Beware, beware, the city of the fallen god, where the dead unburied wait dreaming. Beware the serpent, but most beware the toad." And then this strange man just frickin' dies. Although he looked a little gnarly to begin with. Conan, he is approaching this strange-looking wall on some elevated ground. And as he is investigating it, Nestor manages to finally catch up with him. Conan, surprised to see him, exclaims, "Gunderman, still alive?" Nestor draws his sword and replies, "Aye, barbarian, and more than your match in a fair fight." The two of them begin sword fighting, trying to swipe at each other, their swords clanking. Eventually, Nestor slips on a toad that is on the ground. He slips on that toad and he falls off the little elevation they were on, down on the ground below. He seems to pass out. Conan, seeing Nestor on the ground, comments, "This time have the good sense to stay dead. You've been nothing but a thorn in my side, Gunderman dog. I've thieves' work to tend to here." Conan, he then climbs to the top of this wall, and when he reaches the top, he looks down and there's almost a whole abandoned, destroyed city on the other side. Most of the buildings in this destroyed city are destroyed, but the main temple is still standing in the middle. Conan, he walks over to it. Conan, he then remembers a few days earlier when he was talking to a blind man. The blind man was named Jerem, and that blind man told Conan of this place. The blind man told Conan, 2 days' ride south of Kashut, through the Pass of Spears, you'll find a rune, ancient and nameless. Whenever men live there, they are long vanished, and dead men guard its treasure. Treasure is a jade serpent with emerald eyes. I saw them in my youth, when I still had eyes to see. Conan asked, "And the treasure's still there?" The blind man answered, "Many have tried to take it, but none return." Conan questions, "And yourself, you saw it but left it there?" The blind man answered, "I'm no thief. I was a mercenary and a spy and other things, but never a thief. And a great thief is needed to steal from that place. For the man who survived the Elephant Tower, it should be simple work." So Conan, he proceeded to walk through these ancient ruins, heading towards this temple. Along the way, though, there were all these red toads. and they all began croaking in unison. It was very unsettling. Conan, he then saw a more massive toad. It seemed like almost the king of these toads. Conan, he commented, "You're an ugly thing, king of toads." The croaks continued getting louder and faster. Conan, he picked up a rock and he flicked it at the big toad and he hit it off the pedestal it was on. But then all of a sudden, the croaking started turning into some sort of chant, saying, "Uthoth am Nogoth Isal, Nugoth Otham Nugoth, Otham Nugoth, Otham Nugoth." Conan wasn't sure what was happening. He just exclaimed, "Crom." Conan, issue 30, The Serpent. Conan was not sure what was about to happen, and all of a sudden, a giant, three-eyed red toad attacked him. This red toad was almost 3 or 4 times the size of Conan. It attempted to swallow Conan, but Conan dodged out of the way. He commented, "Damn, you're faster than you look. But whatever you are, I wager it's flesh and blood, and if you can bleed, well, you can surely die." The red toad continued to try and attack Conan. Conan, he tried to slash at the red toad. The giant red toad managed to shoot out its tongue in such a way that it grabbed onto Conan, almost like vines grabbing onto a pillar, and it pulled Conan inside of its body. So Conan was now in the stomach of the red toad. And once inside the toad's stomach with all the acids, Conan, he managed to have all these weird visions. He envisioned himself in a red world with a red sky and a lone tree in the distance, and above the tree there was a snake, but it was like a skeleton, and there were 3 robed figures beneath it, and they offered Conan a chalice, and then a mini version of the red toad was there, and it started chanting weird shit. Conan, not sure what to make of it, just screamed, "Ah!" And then he used his sword and he slashed vigorously, and he managed to cut his way out of the red toad's body and escape. Conan, he began to run. He ran through the ruins. The red toad still pursued him, though. Conan, he yelled back at the red toad, "So, devil, you've got a taste for thieves. All right then, come to me." The red toad shot out its tongue and grabbed Conan once again. It pulled Conan close to him. Conan, with his sword though, stabbed the red toad in the eye. The red toad, in pain, let go of Conan. The red toad, now blinded a bit by the sword in its eye, was trying to recompose itself. And while it was distracted, Conan, he managed to grab the head of a nearby statue, and he chucked it at the red toad, and it managed to tear through the red toad's body, cutting it in half and finally killing it. Conan, he then laughed out in victory, and with his sword, he continued to cut the red toad into tiny pieces. And that is when Nestor finally caught back up with Conan. Nestor, shocked at what he was seeing, exclaimed, "Bel and Ishtar!" Conan, a little surprised to see Nestor, replied back, "Gunderman, have you come again for my head? Draw your sword. This time I swear I'll see you gutted and quartered and begging for your life." The two of them started to draw their swords again and begin fighting, but their hearts were not in it. Conan, he just said, "Pfft, put it away, dog, unless you're determined to die this night." Conan, he then gestures towards the temple nearby, and he says to Nestor, "It occurs to me that there may be treasure enough here for 2 thieves." Nestor, interested, asks, "Treasure?" Conan, he then points to the temple and says, "There, if the old man spoke the truth, but I wonder if you have the belly for it. Or maybe Magistrate Cerna's leash suits you better." Well, Nestor decides to make this uneasy alliance with Conan, and the two of them will explore this temple together and share in any treasure they may come upon. Conan warns Nestor that he'll kill him if he crosses him. Nestor tells Conan, "We'll settle our differences some other day. For now, though, equal partners. You have my word on it." So the two of them begin exploring this temple together. As they are walking through the temple, they see these old skeletons in full-on armor, sitting on various chairs. Within that temple, they find a treasure chest filled with all sorts of gold coins and gems and rubies. Nestor, looking at the treasure, says, even divided by 2, there's 10 times more than Cerna would have paid me for your Sumerian head. Truth be told, that fat bastard never would have paid me, except maybe in poison or a cut throat. Conan answers, no doubt. So bag as much as 2 men can carry and let's quit this place. Conan, he keeps investigating the area they are in. They see these statues nearby, but it turns out they are not statues, but dead people, unburied, waiting, dreaming. Conan and Nestor are very creeped out by it all, and they want to get out of here as quick as they can. Something catches Conan's eye, though. Some sort of red globe with a weird symbol inside of it. Conan, issue 31, The Hall of the Dead. Conan is continuing to stare into that red globe. It is almost hypnotizing him, putting him in a trance. He has visions of the temple outside and the red sky and a weird demonic ceremony with men in robes chanting Uth Am Nugath Is Al Athum Nugath Athum, etc., etc. Nestor eventually shakes Conan on his shoulder and snaps him out of it. He asks, "Are you sleeping? Maybe I should leave you to it." Conan answers, "I was just having a moment, Gunderman." Conan, he uses his sword and slashes at the red globe thing, cutting it in half. Finally, Conan and Nestor are going to leave this temple. Before they head out, though, Nestor wants to show Conan something. He tells him, "Look what I discovered while you were napping. All my years I've never seen such jewels, and here are 2 exactly alike, one for each other. But how do we divide the statue?" So they are staring at this green ornate serpent with 2 jewels. Conan, looking at it, decides he wants it. He puts an offer out to Nestor saying, I want to keep the jewels as a pair and the statue, but fair is only fair. I'll take these and these only, and the rest of the loot is yours." Nestor, he's interested in the statue and gems too, though, so they decide to roll for it. Conan rolls and he wins, so he gets the jade statue and the pair of jewels. Nestor isn't too upset. I mean, there is a lot of other treasure here for him. Conan, he grabs the serpent and the jewels and wraps them in some cloth. As the 2 begin to head out, all of a sudden the skeletons in the room spring to life, and Conan and Nestor have to fight them off. Nestor tells Conan they want their treasure back. Conan, return the statue and the jewels. Conan to this says, "Go to hell, Gunderman. Why don't you see if they'll take your coins for a bribe?" Nestor laughs and says, I think not. As they are fighting these zombie skeletons off, Nestor notices that their bodies are dry and brittle like kindling. Nestor lights one of the skeletons aflame, and it burns down easily. Conan and Nestor fight through the other skeletons and make their way outside. Once they reach the outside of the temple, it is now daytime and the sun is shining outside. The skeleton zombies cannot survive in the sunlight, and they quickly dry up and turn to dust. Nestor, when he sees this, comments, "Well, there's a bit of luck." Conan, he concurs. All of a sudden, the ground they're standing on starts cracking. The whole temple seems like it is going to collapse into the earth, so Conan and Nestor have to start running. They are running and running, but the ground behind them keeps cracking. And in all the ruckus, Conan, he managed to escape, but not Nestor. Nestor, he got stuck in all the collapsing rubble. Conan, he looked behind, tried to see if he could spot Nestor, but he couldn't. So eventually Conan, he just had to move on. 3 days later, Conan returned to Zamora, to the city of thieves. He met back up with Giara, and the 2 of them were drinking in a bar one night. And Conan, he was telling all of his other thief friends of his most recent adventure. Conan, he ended his tale by saying, and when the dust cleared, there was not one stone standing upon another. It was an evil place. The world is well to be rid of it." A man asked, "And what of the Gunderman captain?" Conan answered, "Nestor, he was a better man than I gave him credit for. If I can't drink to his health, well then, at least I can drink to a clean death, and his blood's not on my hands." Giara then asks of the treasure that Conan came out with, and Conan replies, "Ah, you've got a point, girl. Here, have a sight at this." So Conan, he pulls out the sack where he was keeping the jade serpent and the 2 matching jewels. He pours the sack out on the table, but the second the jewels hit the table, they poof into green dust, and they are gone. Conan, he is surprised. He exclaims, "Crom!" And the others in the bar are also confused. And then they laugh, saying, "That's a lot of trouble for a bag of dust." Giara, she spotted the serpent that was in the bag, and it appeared to be moving. Before Conan could inspect that further, all of a sudden the bar door swings open, and the magistrate, Serna, enters with some soldiers. Serna orders his men, "If he moves or if he twitches a finger, you men nail him to that wall, but if you kill him, I'll have your heads. He has much to pay for, and it will be my great pleasure to see that payment is carved out of his hide." Conan to this responds, "How's your wife, Serna? Does she miss me, I wonder?" Serna just smiles. Serna grabs Conan's sack of treasure, and he investigates what's inside. And all of a sudden, that jade serpent starts moving, and it pounces on Serna and bites into his arm. Serna screams out in pain. And while everyone is distracted, Conan grabs Giara and escapes with her out a nearby window. Conan, he comments, "Come girl, time to find a friendlier place to drink." "It will have to be on credit, though." Giara to this replies, "Not for long, my love." Conan agrees. You'll surely find some other things to steal soon. Treasures and houses with good iron locks and bars and living men to guard them. And Conan adds, "And damn all sorcery, serpents, and tombs." Conan, issue 33, Dogs of the Hills. Since last issue, Conan and Giara have began to travel west to Corinthia, trying to flee the city of Zamora. Meanwhile, within the city of Zamora, Magistrate Serna has taken ill. That snake in Conan's sack, it bit him, and now he is close to death. Serna's head sorcerer, Tizilus, is working his magics to try and keep Serna alive. In order to save Serna's life, Tizilus has implored the priests of Mitra to deliver healing potions from the vaults of the great temple in Tarantia. If the sacred elixirs manage to reach the city, then Serna may live. However, for now, with Serna incapacitated, a new magistrate has taken over in the city, a man named Magistrate Nar. While Magistrate Serna was kind of a pompous, rich asshole, Magistrate Nar is a more evil man, and he has started instituting some crackdowns in the city, trying to drive out the poorer citizens in town. In the poor end of town, Iniri of Koresh, the starveling woman that Conan saved in the bar. She is managing to evade some of the magistrate's soldiers that are beating up the poor and homeless and trying to drive them out of the city. Iniri, as she is staying in the shadows of the side streets, she runs into a man named Blind Jerem. Blind Jerem is a very wise, old blind man. The two of them talk of the state of the city and recent events. Jerem, he comments, "Bad times in this town, girl. With the old magistrate Serna laid low, Nar is making a show for the city regents to prove his worth. I never thought I would miss that high-born swine, Magistrate Serna, but I'll miss his replacement, Magistrate Nar, far less. When the jails are full, any able-bodied beggar will be sold into the south. Those too crazed or crippled to be of worth will be strangled and thrown into the ravines. It's only a matter of time until they find us, too." Iniri, she defiantly says, The magistrate will never catch me. Blind Jerem tells her, but he will, girl. Sooner or later, he will. And when he does, Nar will trade your young flesh to a Keshan slaver. The two of them then talk of Conan. And Neri, with her magics, has been having some visions of Conan, and she asks Blind Jerem, saying, "Where is he? I must warn him. A great darkness follows him." Blind Jerem tells her that while they hunt for him in the east, the Cimmerian heads west towards Corinthia. Neri questions, how does he know this? Jerem answers, when they burned out my eyes, they did not take my ears. I make my purse on the stories that the winds whisper. I have a bargain for you, girl. I can walk this city as well as any sighted man. My signposts are its sounds, its smells, the number of flagstones beneath my feet, but outside the city walls, the signposts are unknown to me. We must leave this place. You know it. You must be my eyes. Lead us out of town, and I swear I'll take you to the Cimmerian. And Neri, she thinks on it and says, all right. Now check in on Conan and Giara. They have traveled out of the city, and they are trying to go west to Corinthia. Right now, though, things are not so hot for them. They are in the wastes, and a pack of wild dogs are attacking them. Conan, he fights them off with his sword, he kills a few, and eventually the rest of the dogs retreat out of fear. Giara, she asks Conan, can we go back to the city now? Conan tells her, my path lies west, skirting the Road of Kings. If you're coming to, make yourself useful, and be alert. There are more dangerous dogs in these hills than the few I've just killed. As they continue marching, the walk is very long, and Giara, she is just complaining the whole time about everything. She tells Conan, this water skin is almost empty, and the bread is gone. Couldn't you have at least stolen more provisions? Even if we met someone out here who'd sell us food, we have no money. Not after the precious treasure which you and Nestor looted turned to dust before our eyes. Look at the sky, it's almost nightfall. Are we gonna sleep in another cave? What if the wolves come back? We should have headed east towards Shadizar. I have an uncle in Shadizar. As she keeps talking, Conan eventually tells her, Giara, shut up. He then kisses her deeply to make sure she stays quiet. Further westward, a small city-state that lays just beyond the mountain pass. In that city-state, there within a temple of the god Anu, we see a man who is a priest of Anu talking with a constable. They are discussing news from their spies in the city of thieves. They discuss how Magistrate Cerna has taken ill, and his wizard Tizilus and his Mitra-worshipping acolytes are trying to keep him alive. Tizilus has asked his Mitra-worshippers in Tarantia to send a potion for Cerna. If the potion arrives in the city, Cerna will most likely live. However, this priest of Anu has other plans. He has dispatched some men to intercept these worshippers of Mitra that are delivering this potion. In fact, this priest of Anu wouldn't mind the potion for his own needs. The conversation ends with the priest saying, the stronger is Anu's power, the greater are Anu's blessings. Thus far, he has blessed us in abundance, has he not? When will we have the restorative elixir for ourselves? The constable he was talking to answers, quite soon, your holiness. In fact, our men should intercept the priests this very morning. Out there in the wilderness, we see Giara sleeping on a carpet, and Conan, he is on lookout. He is watching these priests of Mitra that were transporting this elixir get attacked by this priest of Anu's men. The priests of Mitra that are being attacked are trying to calm everyone down. They say, mercy, I beg of you, we are poor priests of Mitra, travelers on the Road of Kings from Tarantia. Their attackers answer, then it's comforting to know that your bodyguard didn't die in vain. You are the men we seek. Kill them all, then search the cart. Conan, who is watching from a distance, is not one to let innocents get slaughtered in his presence. So Conan, he joins in the fighting and he manages to kill and take down all of these men that were in the service of the priest of Anu. Once the killing is done, all that is left are these priests of Mitra, and they are very pleased that Conan saved their life. They exclaim, "Praises to Mitra, the divine, we have been delivered. Surely our God has sent you. May your hands and household be forever blessed. You have our undying thanks, stranger. We have no coins, but can offer you food and drink. Fresh robes, perhaps? Prayers for strong male children for you and your woman here?" Conan, for now, he ignores the priests, and he checks the body of the men he's slain. Conan, by searching the body, he tells the priests, "These are no bandits. They wear robes of holy men. Yeah, look, this is a crest of their god, Anu. Emissaries of Anu daring to attack the ordained of Mitra?" Conan is confused, but he soon moves on and says, "Well, the quarrels of priests are no concern of mine." Conan then turns to the priests of Mitra that were offering him all of these things recently. Conan tells them, "Oh, thanks for the gifts you offered. I'll take them gladly. In fact, I'll take the horse and wagon too." Conan and Giara, they take the horse and the wagon and all of the priest's supplies. The priests, now no longer even having their robes, are cursing Conan as he rides away. They yell, "Thief, deceiver, coward! A plague of boils upon you and your doxy! Who are you that the ordained of Mitra might curse your name forever?" Conan, he responds, "Tell your god that you've met Conan of Samaria, priest. Just another poor traveler on the road of kings." As Conan and Giara rode on, out in the distance on a cliff, we see that Nestor, the Gunderman, indeed survived. We thought he perhaps died in the temple collapse a few issues ago, but he managed to crawl out of the rubble. Nestor, the Gunderman, had been Conan's rival, then his enemy, then a reluctant ally. Each time, the headstrong barbarian youth had brought him nothing but trouble. Nestor had been determined never to cross shadows with the Cimmerian again. When he and Conan had fled Cerna's guard, he was sure that the Cimmerian would seek refuge in the western mountains. So, Nestor, he headed east. Yet almost as soon as he planned it, Nestor had found his footsteps turning west. Their paths seemed drawn together. Why did it seem to be more than chance? In truth, Nestor told himself it seemed almost like a curse. If we remember a few issues ago when Nestor first talked to Magistrate Cerna, after their meeting, Magistrate Turna talked to his sorcerer Tizilus, and they did place some sort of curse on Nestor to make sure that he would deliver on his promises of bringing Conan back to receive justice. In the wagon, while Conan and Giara drive on, Giara, she's looking at all the various things the priest had with them. And she's not terribly impressed. She comments, "What's this, grain? Dates? Some smelly water? Little else." Conan responds, "Priest food. What were you expecting? It will suffice until we reach a city." Giara says, "No one would attack priests for this stuff. Surely they were hiding something better, some wine perhaps, or some gold to buy some?" Giara then finds the special elixir, the medicine that Magistrate Cerna needed. Giara, she pops off the cork on the bottle and she's gonna take a swig of it. Before she does so, she says, "It smells sweet. That's a liquor perhaps." As she is about to take a sip, Conan slaps the bottle out of her hands. He tells her, "Foolish girl, never trust the brew of wizards or priests." The bottle that Conan slapped out of her hand, it falls to the ground and smashes on the pavement, breaking, and out of the bottle crawl a whole bunch of weird insects. Conan and Giara drive on. Conan tells Giara, "Try the smelly water." Giara, nervous now, answers, "Perhaps later." The two of them drive on. They go through some sort of a mountain pass. The mountain pass will force them to go through a very narrow, tight space. Conan tells her to take the reins. Giara asks, "Why are we slowing down? What's wrong?" Conan tells her, "Let's just say I don't like tight spaces." Giara laughs and says, "Funny, you whispered something quite different last night." Oh, Giara with her sexual innuendo. Conan tells her, "Tonight we'll find a warm cave where we can discuss it, but for now, try to keep us on the path without breaking a wheel." So Giara, she is driving this wagon while Conan is on high alert. A whole bunch of skeletons of dead humans and animals are hanging in the air. Giara asks, "Is it a warning?" Conan answers, "No, there's too much pleasure in it. Push the horses faster, girl, and keep your head low." A whole bunch of eyes are peering at them in the distance from the various caves above. Eventually, a war cry is heard, and then what seems like hundreds of fiends attack Conan and Giara in the mountain pass. Conan issue 34, The Sons of Bel. These fiends in the mountain pass are attacking Conan and Giara. Conan, he kills several and manages to fend a lot of them off, but there are just too many of them, and eventually the two of them get subdued. Some of the fiend bandits that attacked them begin seeing what goods Conan and Giara have. They do find the special elixir with the stamp of the Mitra priesthood on it. They also find some jewels that Giara was hiding in her hair. Conan is a little annoyed when he sees this because Giara lied to him and said she had nothing. Eventually, the bandits start moving Conan and Giara up to see their leader, a man named Grakaka, the Spider King. As Conan and Giara are forcibly being marched up to see this Spider King, Giara is trying to apologize for hiding some money earlier. She tells Conan, "Oh, come now, it was only a few coins, and yes, some jewels too. I plan to share it, I swear it, just as soon as we reach the city." Finally, Conan and Giara are presented to their leader, the Spider King. One of the bandits introduces him as such. "Hail Grakaka, the Spider King, son of Bel, the god of thieves." The Spider King studies Conan and Giara. The Spider King, he then addresses the group saying, "Yes, the female pleases my eye. The clan shall enjoy knowing her soft flesh, and feasting on the tender half-cased infants that she issues." And then the Spider King, looking at Conan, to this says, "Unta, come forth, my son. The prodigal has brought a doll for you." The Spider King's son, Untha, walks out. He looks like a very humongous, jacked, but also maybe mentally slow individual. Conan, seeing this Untha, asks one of the bandits, "That's the king's son?" The bandit answers, "Aye, and truth be told, it's his brother as well. The Spider Lord takes much pride in the purity of his family's line." So the plan is for Conan to fight this Untha and provide some entertainment to everybody. Conan is given some advice that he should die quickly, as he has seen Untha play rough with his toys. Conan, not scared of a fight, says, "I like to play too. I'll give him a fight by Crom, and after I kill him, I will come to kill you too." So Conan, he begins squaring off against this Untha. Untha at first takes the lead in their fight. He lifts Conan over his head and slams Conan against the cave wall. Conan, though, he eventually picks up a rock, and then he smashes the rock on Untha's face, and Untha starts bleeding and gets disoriented. Conan, he then kicks Untha off of the little cliff they are on, and as he is kicking Untha off of this cliff, Untha slams into some sort of load-bearing pillar, and the pillar gets destroyed as Untha falls to his death. With the load-bearing pillar destroyed, the roof that is above them starts collapsing. Conan, he finds Giara, he grabs her, and then the two of them start running. They managed to make it outside just in the nick of time. The Spider King, though, was not so lucky, and he also died in the rubble. Conan and Giara still had attackers on them, though. One of the attackers hit Conan in the head with a mallet. Conan went down. The attacker would have continued pummeling Conan, but then the attacker got an arrow in his head and died. Conan, he then sprung back up and took out some of the other men. Who was this person that saved Conan and shot the arrow? Well, it turns out Nestor, the Gunderman, did end up following Conan. and he was the one that saved him. Conan, seeing Nestor, says, "Hello, Gunderman. You missed." Conan assumed that Nestor was trying to hit him with the arrow. Nestor answers, "I served with Harcanian archers, Conan. I hit what I aim at." One of the fiend bandits attempts to attack Nestor from behind, but Conan throws a spear at him, just missing Nestor and hitting that bandit, saving Nestor's life. Conan then smiles at Nestor and says, "As do I, Nestor, as do I." Conan, Giara, and Nestor all run together to try and get out of this hellhole in the mountain pass. They then cross a rope bridge up there in the mountains and get to the other side. Once on the other side, Conan, using his knife, cuts the rope bridge line and collapses the bridge, making it fall so no one can follow them. Conan, Giara, and Nestor walk on. They eventually find some horses and supplies, and now they are finally ready to leave. They have to decide where they are going to go, though. And are they going to travel together or go their separate ways? With the Magistrate and his men in the east still looking for Conan, all of a sudden going west seems like the smarter move. So our volume ends with Conan, Giara, and Nestor traveling west to Corinthia, and on to new adventures. Alright, so that was Conan V4. And like I said in my intro, this is the end of my Conan coverage for now, but I'm totally open to covering more Conan in the future. In this volume, I liked a lot of it, although it was a little bit kind of all over the place because we had 3 different writers telling their own kind of story, although they did continue off of one another. The first part of the story by Kurt Busiek I thought was pretty good. I thought it was really funny how Conan, he has Giara on his lap in this bar, and he's telling all of these people the story of him betting the magistrate's wife, and Giara is offended by it. And I like how Conan, kind of in a sexist but funny kind of way, is like, "Oh, she'll be fine. I have some jewelry for her. She'll get over it." But that's Conan for you, man. That was a pretty good chapter there. And then we had this Nestor the Gunderman introduced, and a little bit of a rivalry between him and Conan, and Nestor trying to take Conan down. And then that chapter ended in a pretty exciting way, where Conan is on horseback, and Nestor and his people are chasing him, and Conan has to jump this chasm on the horse, and he barely makes it to the other side. So that was cool. The next part of the story was really trippy, with this weird ancient tomb area and all of these red toads. And then Conan gets in a fight with this massive red toad, and then he's infiltrating this temple, and he steals some shit, and him and Nestor team up. So that was pretty interesting, kind of a fun thieving of a tomb story there. And then the last 2 chapters in this volume, where we had Conan and Giara trying to flee. There we had some political intrigue between these priests of Anu and the priests of Mitra, which I didn't really care about that much. Then we had Conan and Giara in the mountains, and they get attacked by this Spider King and his people. And the Spider King was a pretty grotesque figure. I thought it was pretty funny how the Spider King, when he saw Giara, was like, "Ooh, I like her. We'll have our way with her, and we'll, they're going to eat her children that she bears." That's pretty dark stuff, but pretty funny. And Conan, of course, kills them all, and him and Giara escape. And then they team up with Nestor, and they continue on their journey. So, all in all, a pretty fun chapter. I had a good time. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And perhaps I will cover more Conan in the future. But for now, I'll be back in the future with more comics.